So strap in and get ready.
The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Matrix, and Whisperer.
Round 2, done and dusted, all wrapped up. Hopefully everybody did all right. It feels like a little bit of an improvement on last week, Josh. 100 points maybe. How'd you go?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like scores this week are much more fluctuated. Like I'm seeing people that have done, exceptionally well and people that have done not so well. So it's a very much a moving week. I actually have the Fremantle Brisbane game on the other screen. I'm happy if we just sit here and discuss AFL Supercoach because I'm having a much better week in round 1 for the Insight Fantasy Supercoach World Cup than I am with NRL because it wasn't great. I'm sitting here looking at a Helen Lukey 9 and a head-to-head loss to Tom Sangster, which is never a fun prospect. Shout out to Tom. But no, I finished up on 923 pending updates. Captaincy choice wasn't great. Like my top score this week was only RTS with 75, so it wasn't like I had a monster ceiling either.
Yeah, neither. I think my best score would have been Josh Curran, 76 at this point. I captained Turbo for a 41, so that was good of him. I finished with 960, so not much better than you. It's been a pretty tricky couple of weeks, really. So a little bit of an improvement, and it's nice to kind of see that Nick Owen Cleary came out and got 70s. Again, not really what we paid for, but I'm not going to complain. They looked okay, passed the eye test. I think it's a 27-round season and everybody forgets. And, for everybody who jumped out and went and got Dragons players last week, we'll talk about them, I'm sure, today. But that's what happens when you react to round 1 so heavily. It's very easy to fall into a few traps.
Are you taking your pot shot here at me?
Not at you. No, not at you. No, just someone else.
Zach Labart. Oh, yes. Someone else. Yeah, shout out to Zach Labart, who I was tossing and turning all week. I eventually brought him in for a whopping 26-pointer, so we love that. Probably is going to undo all the hard work of round 1 when it comes to cash generation.
I think I saw on, is it Jay Schubert who does the BEs ahead of time? He put up that Labart will still have like a 13 break even next week, so it's not the end of the world, but I'm sure that people bought him.
Absurd. It's going to be like 80 or 90.
Yeah, and the issue is obviously everybody bought him for the cash grab, and you're really not going to get anywhere near as much as you thought you would. So, a bit disappointing. We've got some comments coming through. Let us know how you went this week. We've got Fisher with a 1071, which is pretty big this week. Nice score. Damien Carroll with a 1087 as well. We'll forgive you that you can't say the front row from the Bulldogs name, but that's cool. He got a donut. Lukey injury, Ponga C. Yeah, there's a bit going on there, but a pretty good score regardless. So well done. And Matrix, I think, takes out the round again, calling us scrubs, and that we should bow down to our king. Look, full credit to Matrix with the hammer coming in nice and late. I think I said in our group chat as well, Josh, that I wanted Hammer to get 11, and he went out and got a hat-trick. So that's how you...
Last week as well, like just getting bailed out.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, he takes it out again. So we're going to put a little crown or trophy thing next to the rank for Matrix next Tuesday when we go live. The problem is Matrix is away on holidays. So maybe the key to being good at Supercoach is to not really give a fuck and just go away on holidays all the time because it seems like he does pretty well.
Yes, 100%.
All right, we may as well just dive into things and have a chat about these games. We'll share the screen so that we can see the scores on the screen for anybody watching us on YouTube. That'll be on the screen. For anybody on audio, we'll talk through them anyway, but we'll do our best to go through all of those. So let's cover these. I don't know what fucking happened to the layout, but anyway, don't mind me. All right, let's talk Broncos first of all. 28-18, beat the Rabbitohs. Thoughts on this one? Selwyn Cobbo, man, like at centre, he looks the goods at centre. I think where everybody was fading him a little bit and a little bit off him because he was at centre and not on the wing, but he was pretty solid, really.
Yeah, they attacked really well down that side. I mean, he did score a 53 last week, so it's not like he's gone out and gone bang bang. 53 was nice. I think he had some attacking returns in there, but the 93 this week was positive. Really gelling well into a centre spot, obviously linking up with Walsh, who we'll talk about as well. But Cobbo looks great. Probably a little bit too early for me to be jumping on, especially if he's going to be in and around Origin considerations. He's a guy that I'd look to target later on in the season. and hopefully at a price drop. But if he keeps up the way he's going, then obviously not.
Yeah, for sure. The Discord was popping off when Saliva Havili started doing all sorts of things, wasn't it? 83 for Saliva Havili. Everyone was thinking maybe he would be the problem solver for the hooker dilemma, but we've got a couple of other problem solves now, which is nice. But the talking point really here is the battle of the fullbacks in Reece Walsh versus Latrell Mitchell. 88 plays 80. And the question mark now... completely different.
Like, you look at that without scores, like, if I would have... It's ridiculous as how involved Walsh was and like how electric he looked. Same thing last week as well. Like he looked all over the, like, unreal, but finished on 91 last week and then finished on 88 this week. Whereas Latrell had a shocking game by his standards. Like he was very poor in defense, wasn't really involved in attack, but came up with a great play at the end there to generate about 45 points. And it puts them within 8 points of each other. And then we'll have this chat about Walsh probably on Tuesday because I'm sure everyone's, panicking about fullbacks and they're going to jump off and, rightly so. But people are looking at Walsh and it's like, well, he doesn't have the greatest draw. And if he's this involved, only getting 88, what can we expect on his downsides?
Yeah, that's right. And you look at Latrell as well. It's like he gets involved like 2 plays a game and scores 80. So he's a really hard watch for me lately. Like if I was an owner of Latrell, it'd be pretty tough to enjoy watching him play. Whereas you look at Walsh, yes, he does the same kind of thing, but I just feel like there's a lot more going on around Walsh, especially with the way that he follows up through the middle and the way that he sweeps out the back. You don't see Latrell doing any of that. He kind of inserts himself into the game whenever he feels like it. And he's good enough to do that, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, it will become a decision between do we pick Mitchell, do we pick Walsh, or do we pick Teddy? Or do we just hold strong on Ponga? Because, obviously, he's probably going to be one of the most owned at fullback. So there's a big decision to make there too.
Oh, and there's also a particular fullback down in Melbourne who, if it wasn't for the round 4 bye, I think people would look past the draw because of the upside that he possesses. So we do have plenty of options. I think it's fair to say that Ponga probably hasn't worked. I think he's passed the eye test. I think, if it wasn't for price drops, I wouldn't be worried. Like if this was a draft thing, I wouldn't be panicking and trying to trade Ponga out. I think he looks really good. It's just not clicking at the moment. But we will discuss in strategy. We've looked at round 7 for the Knights, and we hope by then that they find some cohesion and the draw opens up really nicely for Ponga, especially if he isn't going to be playing Origin. So he's definitely one to still consider. Pat Carrigan with a 69, just doing Pat Carrigan things. Payne Haas picked up a knee knock. Nothing structural there. They did scans, everything's clear, but he is very touch and go for this week. Kevin Walters doesn't know if he'll play. And Kevin Walters is usually pretty honest. He's never one to play sort of games with the media and say, to try and keep his cards close. He's generally been pretty honest. So if he's saying that Payne's in doubt, it is concerning. I'm not selling if I'm an owner, but 63 with an Enoch, it's just what Payne Haas does. What did he score last week? 71. So priced at a 74 and then scored 71 and 63. Would you be concerned?
Nah. Not really. Not with the fact that he came back on. I know that they said that he's touch and go for next week. But I think I'm with you on the fact that I'd hold him. I don't think it's going to be a multi-week injury, especially because he did come back on. If you had the
cash, would you pivot to Tino or would you just hold firm?
I think you've got to hold firm.
No other fires to put out. Obviously, people are going to have, fullbacks that are panicking, 2RFs that are injured or shit. Like if you're in a perfect world, you've got nothing to worry about. Would you transition to Tino or would you just stick it out?
I think you got to stick it out. I think Tino and Haas probably score close to similar for the rest of the season. If you're looking at rest of season, I think you hold strong with Haas. I mean, there's people that play Supercoach a lot more aggressively than us, where they'll chase cash and they'll chase the right move week to week, but they'll run out of trades in round 23. And that's okay. If you want to play it like that and you want to go hard, or maybe you started really well and you want to hold on to that rank, that's fine. You can play aggressive, and maybe Haas to Tino is the move, especially if he misses next week. But for us, we've always preached the playing the long game and looking at strategy over the whole season. And I think that Haas is definitely a hold, especially if it's only 1 week or they say that, he was close, but he missed. I think it's okay. If we're looking at a multi-week injury, it changes the conversation for sure.
Cool. Dave Mariner looked cool. Unfortunately, he was just priced out of consideration. Jesse Arthur's an interesting one. Scored a 57 this week, priced at a 36. Last week, he scored a 48, so he's gone, above his price by 10 points. I don't think it's enough to warrant the trading, not with the draw coming up. I think if you have him, great, but I'm not looking at picking him up. Not with the draw they have. I know that he'll pick up some cash, but it's probably not a move that I'd be looking at making.
Nah, neither. I initially was tempted because he was all the talk of the preseason, wasn't he? It was Jesse Arthur's got the wing spot, blah, 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 but everyone remembers that it's exactly the same role that he played last year. So I think Jesse Arthur, people are looking for a sub 400k centre wing. And it's kind of like the battle of Jesse Arthur's versus Xavier Savage, like battle of the shitters. And,
I mean,
do you really want to go with either of them?
Another centre wing put his hand up today for the battle of the shitters as well from the Dolphins.
Fuck. I won't be going there either. I'll tell you that much. But.
Mate, I'm seeing a lot of Pia Cora sell chat online. Look, I'm not an owner. I've been very vocal about not wanting to own, but I can't understand why in the life he's being considered a sell. Like, I don't know why people are looking at this.
You look at his stats. He scored 53 in base, and he had like 6 in negative or 5 in negative or something like that. Like, at the end of the day, like, we all talked in the preseason about Pia Cora being a guy that has no base, and he comes out and bashes out 50 in base power. So, yeah. I mean, he gets an attacking stat, and he scores 70 plus. And the conversation completely changes. And we know he's going to get attacking stats for the Broncos this season. There's no question about it. I'm
also not too worried about the break even because, it rolls out. Like, that low score is going to come out very quickly. Like, you paid for Pia Cora for a 41. Yeah, you might lose some cash in the first price cycle, but you're going to get it straight back within the next couple of weeks. Like you said, you score a try, he's, pushing 80 points. I don't understand the sell claims here. Like, it's not like Pia Cora scored 48. I own Statili. I faded Pia Cora and went with Statili. He scored a 47, but he had a try assist and line break assist in there as well. Like, it's chalk and cheese. Like, I'm holding Pia Cora if I'm an owner. Corey Jensen. Oh, yes, sorry.
No, I was just going to say I am an owner. I'm not even thinking about moving him on. I've got bigger fires to probably put out, to be fair, like in terms of like priority trades.
Even if I had no fires, like, he's not a guy I'm wasting a trade on. Like, it's just, I saw like a lot of promising signs. 53 in base power. Yeah, a couple of negatives, but that will come out of his game as, experience happens. So, like, I'm not worried if I'm an owner. Corey Jensen, 36 points, not big minutes, concerning considering Haas was off for a fair bit of time as well. And Fletcher Baker also looked really good. So I was having a chat with someone on X, and I'm so sorry, I don't remember the handle, but we were just talking about, like, people that aren't AFB, Tino or Haas. They just don't play particularly big minutes. So is the strategy, is like the meta strategy moving forward to get a premium front row forward and then just get a shitty front row forward too, one that'll play you 35 minutes off the bench? And I'm starting to think maybe next year it is, because it's such a volatile position, and it's almost like running back in NFL, where coaches can just put anyone there, get some okay production, and be happy with it. And they're not going to play massive minutes.
Yeah, I think it is. I think we're leaning towards that, because you look at the front row forward position in general, and you've got so many guys that are playing anywhere between maybe 35 to 45 minutes in their teams. As starting front row forwards, mind you, not everybody's Terrell May, who's going to come out and play 58 minutes and start. We'll talk about him, and there'll be a bit of a circle jerk going on a little bit later for Terrell May. I'm sure everyone's going to join in. But they're rare. Guys like that are rare. Your Payne Haas's, your Terrell Mays, these big minute guys. Like even Ruben Cotter played, I think, 55, 56 minutes. So, the promising signs with those guys, but if you don't want to pay up for someone like that, maybe you just go full primo, you get a Haas, a Tino, or maybe May is going to be in the conversation next year as a guy that is one of those guns come end of season, if this all continues. But I think with what we know of this position, it's just such a low upside position. We're not going to see front row forwards like Flegler score every week. But even then, he scored and he got 60 odd. So, yeah, I think maybe Liam Henry could be the play at least for the short term of the start of this season.
Yeah, especially with that JWH news. From the Broncos, no one else really. Shock horror, Ezra Mam, not good. We'll continue to beat that drum until his ownership is down below 5%, where it should have been. For the Roosters, Jesus, they'd hate me for that. For the Rabbitohs, Saliva Healy, 2 tries. 1 try assist, absolute stud, scored 83. I have no interest. I know we joke about it.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of fun parodies, isn't it? Where you kind of like, oh, it's Halevi season, but it's not.
He won't be watching now because he's also live, but shout out to Ahmad. I think he owned Havili for like a good period of time last year.
That's outstanding. Very gutsy move. Probably didn't play off last year though.
Trell, probably the most important talking point, because he is 789k. He's 100k cheaper than KP. Scored 110 last week in a losing effort. scored another 80 today in a losing effort. So his average is 95 if I can math.
Mm-hmm.
Goal kicking, shits out tackle breaks for fun. Even when he's not involved, he still scored 40 points when I didn't see him do a thing. Like, I think we have to have the conversation of Trell because he's always going to have a friendly game. And I know that Souths look terrible, but Jack Whiten comes back next week, which I think is going to be huge. I think you're going to have another strike there. I think teams are going to be less hesitant to just jam on Trell because then you just leave Jack Whiten wide open or AJ, which is just not a fun prospect.
Yeah, I think 2 seasons ago, maybe I got on him when a lot of people faded him after he came back from injury, and he averaged 100 to finish the year over like 8 rounds. So that was a nice little run. But then a lot of people jumped on him last year, and he didn't do that. He kind of just looked disinterested. So it just depends which Latrell Mitchell is going to turn up. As hard as that is to say, it's kind of tough to pick how he's going to go and whether he's in the mood to kind of prove a point. So we just know that the talent's there. So if at the last 2 weeks are anything to go off, then he's looking pretty good. And it only takes him, and the beauty of it is with Latrell and guys like Latrell, it only takes him like 2 or 3 big plays and he's scored 100. He doesn't have to do anything else aside from that.
I'm like really considering Trell, and like I'm not saying that to try and like generate, like I'm generally considering Trell. I think the draw is good enough that he can overcome it. There's a couple of stinkers in there. If we look through the draw, it's going to be the Roosters next week. He averages 64, which is not ideal. Then the Bulldogs, where he averages 73. The Warriors, where he averages 83. The Sharks, he only averages 47, which seems low, but Talakai is not great. And Raymond's okay. Raymond's actually held his own pretty well the last couple of weeks. But then you got Melbourne and the Panthers, like 8 and 9 is not great. A bye in 7. So the play with Trell is to just hop off in round. Like if you're looking at Trell, I want you to look at Trell's round 3 to round 6 draw, and then look at Ponga's round 7 to, whenever draw, like round 11 or something, because you can get a really nice little stack in there. Like you can see from our little graphic here, the night that you're picking up Ponga in round 7 for the Bulldogs at home, and I think that's the Dolphins away, or the Bulldogs away, Dolphins away, whatever it is. But like 2 great fixtures, and you're getting Trell for some really nice ones there as well. Bulldogs, Warriors, who just conceded 100 to Pappenhausen, and the Sharks, who defensively still haven't really, not impressed, but like I feel like a good team will take them apart.
Yeah, the Sharks have always been very well known to score points, but leak points. They haven't done anything to convince me otherwise so far this year. So, I think, and we've talked a little bit in the preseason about rotating your fullbacks. And I don't know whether many people know about the strategy behind kind of rotating your fullbacks, but essentially it's just basically picking all of your fullbacks off matchup and kind of getting in the best 2 fullbacks, or at least the best starting fullback on matchup every single week. Because everybody's got 2 gun fullbacks, you're always going to reserve one. So is there a play in terms of, the ideal matchups over the next potentially 10 to 12 rounds into Origin? You were mentioning obviously Latrell now into potentially even Pappenhausen. His draw frees up a little bit when we get past their bye too.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like Pappenhausen in round 9, I think opens up pretty well. Then the problem, like most people own Turbo, the problem is then having to cull Turbo, which I think Turbo is matchup proof. I know he scored absolutely nothing today. Like I get that. Watch the game. Same thing as last week. Like variance happens where low scores are going to take place. Like he could have had 150 last week. He could have had probably 100 today. Like these things do swing, and no one frightens me more than Tom Trbojevic not to own. Whenever a team drops it, like even today, I owned him today, but I didn't captain him. Whenever the Roosters dropped the ball at their 30-meter line, I was like, for fuck's sake, like what's going to happen? And I think Turbo is a guy that you probably have to have, but the other guys, yeah, you can definitely swing around in rotation. I really do like the Trell KP rotation, and if Trell's continuing the way he is with his break even, he could make a little bit of cash. Ponga might lose piles, and then we get them at a very similar price.
And it's centered around the Knights looking pretty ordinary. We'll talk about them soon, but yeah, it's just not really clicking for them. So, I mean, for anybody who is currently sitting on Ponga and considering moving him on, the logic behind that is the fact that the Knights don't look the same team as they did last year. But again, that can come back and bite us. We know the quality of player that Kalen Ponga is. So Stay tuned for that. We'll talk more about that on Tuesday. But let's move on to the Sharks and the Bulldogs, mate. 25-6. Bit of a run over again as well. Mulatalo and Wilton, the big standouts Supercoach-wise in this one with hundreds. What else stood out for you on this one? Nicho Hynes, obviously, with a 75, not necessarily going the 100+ that we're expecting of him.
No, just that left edge. Mulatalo 116, Wilton 110, Talakai 82. Like, it's just that left edge. And next week, Ramian might score 100, Katawa might score 110. Like, they fluctuate. And that's why, like, Mulatalo can be such a great buy, but you're going to have weeks where he'll go huge and weeks where he'll do nothing because they just seem to flip their attack just based off who's weak. So it's not ideal in terms of like buying Mulatalo, especially his price. He's priced at, I think, like mid sixes from memory. My internet and my Supercoach is just being a tad slow, but I think it's mid sixes for Mulatalo.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bit of a run over. Like, I guess the scoreline doesn't reflect the game. The Dogs defended quite well for probably 60 minutes, and then they just sort of didn't have the gas to go with it. Losing a front row forward in the 10th second isn't going to help that. Your middles are going to be pretty gassed, and we'll touch on Josh Curran in due course. But yeah, Hynes, we said this on Tuesday. Like, for me, passed the eye test. Like, there was a couple of times where some desperation tackles were made where Wilton was just held short of the line, or a kick barely got through. Like, I keep saying this, but like on another day he has 120. We don't have this discussion. I'm not worried. Like, I don't think he's going to average 95 or whatever he's priced at, like 95.6. Like, I don't think it's there, but I'm still expecting like an 85, 86. And yeah, we lose money, but I don't think any halfback's going to come close to that. Like, we saw SJ this week shit the bed, and he's probably the next best halfback. And
I've seen a lot of teams go SJ and Moses, and that would have backfired on them big time this week.
That worked well. That worked wonders. And I just think with the emergence of Brooks, like, Cherry Evans probably is not going to have that ceiling that he once had as well. So I think Hynes is overpriced, but I still think he's so much better than the rest. And he's playing the Tigers. He's playing the Tigers this week. Just remember that.
Everyone's looking at Nicho Hynes going 220 break even and thinking, fuck, like, he's going to lose cash. I would not be surprised in the slightest if he loses max 30, 40K. Like, against the Tigers, and we saw what the Tigers did, and we're both Tigers supporters, and how hard it is for me to say this. The Sharks could absolutely put us to the sword next week.
Yeah. We did not look defensively.
No.
I'm a glutton for punishment. I think Hynes captain is very much on the cards next week, and I'm probably not even going to debate it.
I think it's going to be a 50% plus captain option. We haven't actually seen that this year so far.
It's been pretty tight.
Yeah, it has. Agent Cheese seems to be on the money, though. Can't lose cash if you don't sell. And that's been a big message, I guess, that we've been pushing. To the pushback of some other people on X that are saying, don't listen to content creators and podcasters telling you to be patient. Just if you fucking have some trades that you want to make, just make them. And that's fine. But the perfect message here is the St. George Illawarra Dragons this afternoon. And this is the kind of thing that can happen. Yes, and also your Laybutt kind of trade in last week. This is the kind of stuff that does happen when you go early. And I'm going to fucking run with it because I need a win. But this is what happens. And you do need to just have as much of a sample size as possible before you make moves like that. And I think we now we've got 2 rounds of data to look at, which is why, I mean, this might be a conversation on Tuesday, but it could be viable to pull the boost for next week when you're on the bubble.
But people, I understand what people are saying when they say, like, oh, don't listen to blah, blah, blah about, like, team value. But it's just a fact. Like, you don't lose money from Hynes if you don't sell. Yes, you don't make money. 100% you don't make money. But you don't lose anything. And that's what people are so worried about. Like, you see people that their reason for trading doesn't make sense to me. They say, oh, I don't want to lose money on Hynes. If you want to trade on Hynes, that's fine. But you need to say, I want to gain money elsewhere, not losing money on Hynes, because that's not a thing. So just change your psyche a little bit there. But
it also comes down to where you're making the money from the replacement. So, who's going to replace Hynes that you're 100% confident is going to outscore him or outdo him?
But that's the thing, though. Like, if Hynes loses 100K, but still scores you 80, that's fine. Like, because no one else is going to do that on a consistent basis. But yeah, like, I've got no interest in selling Hynes. if you say to me, hey, I'm going to sell him, sure. Like, I'm going to say don't do it, but that's just my prerogative. But yeah, as for the Sharks, Cam McInnes is just being used weirdly, as is always all their middles. Like we've said this, Craig Fitzgibbon's just using them in a weird way. Royce the Choice out with sickness. So, Hatapua, he came in, he looked good. It looked a little bit like the huge unit out of the Broncos as well, like the young kid.
Willison?
To Cora.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just huge, big body at the line. Apart from that, man, like there's not really much to talk about here from the Sharks. I think anyone that went Trindle, there was enough of a sample size to say don't, but he's just shown that he's killing Hines, but he's also just not doing anything himself. He's just taking away attack from everyone.
He's 11% owned.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You got to bail now. Yeah.
I jokingly said on Twitter, "What's Matt Moylan up to these days?" And Sharks fans took that as like we won. I was like, yeah, I just want Moylan back so Hines can be good again.
Yeah, they complemented each other pretty well. It's a tricky little balancing act at the moment, and maybe a balance of power between Hines and Trindle. Trindle's a ball dominant half as well, so yeah, I think they're just trying to find their kind of combination. So we might see maybe Hines come into his own in the next couple of weeks once they've been able to find that a little bit more.
For the Doggies, now 2 weeks in a row, Josh Curran's got some inflated minutes. Now, this might come as a huge shock. I don't think he's a must-have.
Mm.
I think he's a great buy, but like he's not someone that I am saying go out of your way. You must have him. He still scored fantastic. He scored 76. He had 2 line break assists, so 16 points. Take that off, he still scored 60. Like, still unreal. We haven't seen what his minutes look like properly. Because I'd hate to jump on. Like, full transparency, I probably will still jump on. Like, if you ask me what my trades are right now and I have to lock them in, Curran's probably in them. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him play 40 minutes and score 43 points.
And that was a concern at the start of the year when we looked at the rotation. We're like, where's he going to get these minutes from? And there's still the question mark there, like, because obviously with the injuries at the Dogs, Farmasili got knocked out in the first minute. So then you see Curran come on and basically play 60 minutes at prop in the middle. Like, that's not going to happen every single week. So the question mark now pops up. I mean, Farmasili obviously is going to miss a week. So it'll be interesting to see whether Curran starts next week and whether that kind of drags a lot of super coaches into picking him. If he does start next week, Josh, are you keen, or does that make a difference, or do you still need to see a little bit more before you jump on?
I don't know. Like, I'm looking at the rotations last week against the Eels. They were weird. Max King played 42. Farmasuli played 20. Kickout played 67. Preston only played 63, but I think he had a HIA. Kurt Mann played 53 off the bench. Sam Hughes played 28. Curran played 63 last week, and Curtis Moran played 25. So, like, if you said to me in the preseason, who's the big minute middle, like, we both would have said Max King. But King, again, this week didn't play big minutes. The rotations look wonk. I feel like Phil Gould has lied to us about Sam Hughes.
Not the first coach that's lied this season, is it?
No. And then we look at this week's rotation. Max King played 44 minutes, so 42 last week, 44 this week. Farmasuli played 1, or all of 10 seconds. Preston played 70. Kickout played 78. Now, I think Kickout had inflated minutes due to the fact that he was just having the game of his life and just terrorizing that side of the field, which is fine. Salmon played 54. Kurt Mann played 48. Hughes played 24 again, so he looks to be that 25-minute middle, which is not ideal for Supercoach. Curran played 16. Curtis Moran played 22. So they're using Hughes and Moran, why? And then, everything else is just sort of all over the shop. Like, Curran played 60 minutes this week. He played 68 minutes last week. Maybe he is just a 60-minute middle. Maybe he is.
I mean, I picked him to start the season. You can see the little green kind of hover over his name there on the screen, and I'm not upset about it, I'll tell you that much. But in saying that, I'm not confident in him either. It's now just a matter of a little bit of dumb luck that I picked him and hope that he'd get 55 minutes off the bench, and he has. But the circumstances in which he's got those minutes are now questionable. So yeah, he's definitely not a lock or a trade in. And I guess now people are looking for a replacement for Harlem Lukey, which we'll talk about soon. And the first name that comes up is Josh Curran. So, there are another couple of names there that you can consider for a bit more of a cash grab. Or maybe you need to pay up and you need to go a little bit higher than Curran to get yourself a kind of lock in 2RF gun, which is another consideration as well because there's a couple of them floating around. So what else in this one, mate? We've got nothing else really for the Bulldogs. I mean, one score over 57, which is pretty pitiful. Burton 50, King 49, again, not really getting the scores or the minutes that we would have projected for him at the start of the season.
Yeah. Projections. That's the keyword of the day, isn't it? Are we concerned over Carraz? Like, I know that me and NRL Physio got into a little lovers tiff on Twitter about him thinking he's a stud, and I thought he had minimal value. Like, are we concerned, or do you just think no preseason, broken back, like he'll ease into this? At center, it's not ideal. But like 47 this week, I think he had 51 the week before. Like, are we concerned over him?
If I was an owner, I would be, but purely, I'm not an owner for that reason. I mean, 7 missed tackles last week as well. Like, I mean, that's not going to happen every single week. The offloads aren't really there. But 25 in runs isn't exactly what we would expect. But the problem is he is at centre, like you mentioned. Like, you're not going to get the run meters and you're not going to get the hit-ups over 8 meters at centre as opposed to on the wing when you're bringing those kick returns back. So I think that's the risk with centre. Yeah, you're going to make more tackles, and he made 18 tackles, but he also missed 7. So you are getting a lot more negatives playing at centre than you would be on the wing. So, and I don't necessarily see that changing either.
Well, no, they picked Tracy on the wing, which surprised me. Like, it's inevitable that Crichton goes back to fullback. But then the question becomes, what happens? Because does Sherry come in? Or does Tracy move to the centres with Addo-Carr coming back to the wing? Like, I think Carraz is firmly locked into the centre rotation.
Yeah, I think he is based on the fact that they played Connor Tracy on the wing. It has to be. Otherwise, they would have just played Tracy at centre, pushed Carraz to the wing if that was their preference, because Tracy can play both. And correct me if I'm wrong here, surely Connor Tracy's preferred position is at centre and not wing.
Yeah, I would have thought it's centre, fullback, then wing, like if you were picking like his preferences. Look, I'm expecting to open up the app tomorrow morning and see Salmon on the top 10 most traded out. I don't hate it. I don't think you need to. He scored, 40 last week, 36 again this week. Like, he's not going to make money, but he's not going to lose you any. If you have to wait a week on trading at Salmon, I think that's fine. If you said, oh, he's in my trade plans to go to a Hosking, to go to a generic mid-range center wing, like, yeah, cool, sweet. But like, if you're trading him out to, I don't know, not Talau, but like Veiga or whoever gets named, like I would just wait. Like, he's not a pressing trade for me. I just wouldn't play him.
Yeah, he's scoring kind of on or above his price. So it's not like he's dropping 15, 20s on us and he's going to leak a ton of cash. And again, we bought him at 310K, I think his price is. Like, 317K. Like, I'm sure that they've got bigger problems in your team at the moment than Jamin Salmon, the fish. So.
Is kick out the biggest myth of all time? I feel like he played like one of the games of his life and he didn't crack 40.
39. Yeah. But this is exactly what we said in the preseason as well around him, is that it just feels like he has impact, but then you look at his score and he's on like 40 and you think, fuck, he should be on 80. Like, other players would be on 80. I just don't understand how the scoring goes for him, but he just doesn't get himself involved anywhere near as much.
Kick out at 468K at the Panthers is much different to 468K at the Bulldogs. You know, shock horror. That's great analysis. But what I'm saying is, though, like, he has the same floor at the Bulldogs, but the ceiling just isn't there. Like, he's going to have shit games, whether he's at the Penrith, whether he's at Melbourne, whether he's at wherever. He's going to have shit games, but the heights of his highs, I don't think are going to be there at the Bulldogs. Like, if you've got him, he's popular in the preseason, I'd just sell to literally anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at his stats, he had 10 hit-ups, 137 metres, 51 post-contact. So, like, I mean, when you're looking at Supercoach, that's only like 10 times 2. So you're only getting 20 points in those run meters as opposed to fantasy. Very different game. But you look, 4 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 1 offload, 24 tackles, 5 misses. Like, it's not like he had a terrible game. When you look at those stats, you go, he should have definitely scored higher, but the negatives are what is hurting him, I think. He's got the error, he's got the missed tackles there. And obviously run meters just aren't as favoured in Supercoach as they are in fantasy. So, yeah, definitely not a look. Let's move on to the Panthers and the Eels, hey. 26-18, the Panthers got up in this one. Hey, just so I know, so I'm clear, my multi got up. My bet got up this week, boys. Penrith and the Sharks head-to-head.
You picked the two shortest legs all week. And
Hey, it comboed at $1.83 or something. So I don't know. I just feel like I'm carrying you boys, and you guys need to fucking step up a bit, eh?
Absolute hero. Hey, look, my bet lost too, but at least my bet, like I picked Storm minus 5.5. At least my team won. Matrix has got blown out by 40. So
I can't talk at all. My first round was like, I think I took the unders, didn't I, in Vegas, and it went 40 over.
It was like under 40, but it went like 70.
It was no good.
Yeah, Panthers. Isaac Tungo just went full Talakai against Morgan Harper. He was unreal. He had like 6 line breaks. Yeah, it helped that he was against Bryce Cartwright and I think Kelma Tuilagi there for a bit. Yes, it helps, but you've still got to beat what's in front of you. Scored a 145. He won't get close to that again this year. So don't get sucked into Isaac Tungo. Maybe get sucked into Dylan Edwards. He had 116. He's always been there or thereabouts. And with how volatile fullback is this year, hey, maybe we just go fuck it. I just want a 70 every week from Dylan Edwards.
You know you're going to get it, eh? I don't think you can with just fullback being such an upside position. We joke a little bit and take the piss on the pod, but yeah, he's not a look for anybody who thinks maybe we're being serious. It's safe. You're going to get 70 to 50.
Isaiah Yeo getting halfback duel in round 6.
I know. How much link man did he play? 94 again.
The kick.
I know. It was nice little chip and chase. That
was a good kick. It was a nice little kick.
Very nice. But then when you get your halfback to making 47 tackles as well, not bad from Isaiah Yeo.
Wait, hang on. Who made 47 tackles?
Isaiah Yeo.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said like he made his halfback get. I was like, Cleary made 47
not
tackles?
a chance. No, not a chance. Only 19 for Cleary.
94 for Yeo. Look, I said this on Twitter the other day. Like, I think Isaiah Yeo is elite. Like, you get no value, but you get no stinkers. You get no shitters from Isaiah Yeo. You don't have to watch a Penrith game, and you can go to the pub and go, you know what? I'm going to open my app tonight, and Isaiah Yeo is going to get me 69 to 73 points every week without fail.
It's a good time.
The
problem is,
like, it's not sexy,
he's priced at 704,000.
Oh, yeah, there's no value, but like...
Points are there.
Points are points, man. Like, I'll take the points. Moses Leota just looked like prime Jason Tamalolo. And of course, because I bet his fucking underplay performance points this week, like I bet it pretty heavily, and he just killed it within about 10 minutes. It wasn't a great week for my player performance bets, which were terrible. But yeah, Moses Leota looked great. Apart from that, no one else really worth talking about. Tiny May got a 54 or 53, sorry, doing not a whole lot, which is we love that. The ball went all down Tungo's side. There'll be weeks where the ball goes all down Taylor May's side. He scored 70 doing nothing last week. He scored 53 doing nothing this week. Like, I'm loving this.
What I'm very interested in is the fact that Brian To'o and Sania Taruva swap sides this week. How do you think that's going to implement, or I guess, how do you think that's going to influence their scoring? Because To'o on the left, the only season he's played on the left-hand side was in 2021, and he averaged, I think, 80. Do you think we see a little bit more of that this year, or do you think the ball's just going to continue to go down the right?
No, like I love To'o on the left. Like, I didn't love him inside Crichton. And Tungo's got a bit of the sticky hands about him as well. So, you know, maybe outside Tiny, he might improve, and he's a guy worth looking at. Like, obviously worth noting that massive season from To'o was during PVL ball, where it is hard to take much from that, but definitely one to worth keeping an eye on. Injury news from this game: James Fisher-Harris did his shoulder. Now, there was fears that he was going to be out for an extended period of time, but there's no structural damage. So probably only looking like a couple of weeks. However, if you don't know what to do with front row forward and you have Liam Henry, I think he is a perfectly fine play front row forward too. He bombed a fucking sitter of a try. Me and Aman nearly blew our you-know-what everywhere, and he would have finished on 52. But I think if he's going to maybe get a 3 or 4 minute increase and go close to 40 minutes, he's going to probably run you at a 40. And if he's your worst player, like if your worst player is getting you 40, I think that's perfectly fine. So, like, I'm not rushing out to make any front row forward trades until something pops up that I like, or I get guaranteed confirmation that Curran gets front row forward duel. But I think Henry's absolutely fine.
I think, I guess the question mark becomes, like, with James Fisher-Harris out, who plays in the middle? I reckon there's every chance Scott Sorensen might move to the middle, and we might see a guy like Luke Garner shift back onto an edge.
I think Lindsay Smith could also do a job. I think Lindsay Smith plays the same amount of minutes as Fisher-Harris. It's just a case of coming on at the start of the game versus after 25 minutes. So if Ivan Cleary thinks he's got that in him, then yeah. But also Penrith, they don't need to play with props. Like, you can just have their back five are so dominant. all you need is guys that can tackle, and Sorensen and Yo can do that in the middle for you. And Liotta, obviously being a body, can do that as well. So I don't hate the Sorensen shout. In the middle, I don't think it has any relevance on Henry. I think he plays 50 minutes. Fucking hell. 35. Imagine 35 to 38. Which I'd take if he gets me
for sure. And you take that as a front row forward too. Like if you got told that Liam Henry is going to play 40 minutes every single week, you could just plug him in as your front row forward too, and just worry about elsewhere.
And literally until something comes up, then you obviously look to get something more stable. But yeah, absolutely. On the Eels, I know there was a few. I don't know if Brent's in the chat, but I know there was a few Hopgood disbelievers after round one. I'm just looking at his. He was traded out by 333 people, which shout out to them. But he got 104. Bounced back with the try. Played decent minutes through the middle as well. I think last week was just Cardi was playing well. Parramatta are up by 1 million. Let's just get our premium middle off the field. We'll just give him a rest. I wasn't worried about Hopgood if I owned him.
Nah, not at all. But I guess we're talking about the anomaly here, really, in Hopgood owners. He's not very well owned, but the conversation's centered now around Joey Lussick and how we approach this next week, because he was, what did he get, 82? He played 80 minutes, BA. Maybe he didn't lie to us, Josh? Maybe he didn't. Maybe Brendan Hands is just going to warm the pine.
I think he may have told a small lie. I don't think he's going to play 80, but I think Lussick's probably locked in for 65. Now, is that enough? Oh, I think so. I think so. I don't think you're going to get heaps. You're going to get better than Denny Levi. And that's the question that I've got. Like, that's the dilemma that I'm facing myself. Because I have Harry Grant and I have Denny Levi. I know that Grant hasn't been great, but I'm not selling him at all because I'll want him. And when his draw turns, I'll be laughing. But then in round 4, I don't want to play Levi. Yes, it's funny. Let's laugh. Haha, Levi scored 2 tries. He scored 39 and 40 with 2 tries. That is horrendous for a 50-minute for a 50-minute hooker. That is horrible. And us as owners, we need to be very, very thankful that we have had our pants pulled down. I am looking at going Appy, or I'm looking at going Lussick. If you can hear my cat, I am so sorry.
Can't hear a thing.
Good mic. Thankfully, I've bought a very expensive microphone. The question then becomes like, am I going to play Lussick every week? Probably not. Am I going to play Appy every week? Probably. But if I need round 4 cover, and if Lussick's playing good minutes, then go for it. The only problem I have is listening to Parramatta fans because they hate Lussick. They hate Lussick. They think Hands is the man. And I'm just like, well, what if Brad Arthur just wakes up and reads a Parramatta Facebook forum and goes, oh, yeah, I might play for 40 minutes. That's
by the way, the BA coaches, I think he probably would open a Facebook forum or two, I reckon. But the thing is, and I mean, common knowledge would be that Joey Lussick has played hooker nearly most of his career. Brendan Hands has played, I think, 5'8" and lock for a lot of his juniors, as well as coming up through reserve grade. So, I mean, maybe they're just going with the natural hooker as opposed to Brendan Hands, who didn't play it.
Arthur's last year, like there was plenty of times where Arthur's like just didn't play. Like Brad Arthur would just run a 16-man rotation, and Jake Arthur just sat the pine. So maybe that happens with Hands this year. Maybe we'll see. Or maybe Lussick. Look, I don't like wishing injury upon anyone, but maybe Lussick goes in, he finds an injury throughout the season at some point, and the fact that Brendan Hands has been sitting on the pine getting 5 to 10 points per game for a while, he'll bottom out, and we'll be able to get him. So who knows? But hooker's just such a shit position that I'm minimising the amount of trades I need to make at hooker, which is why I picked Harry Grant to start the season anyway. Yes. Well, obviously that was my thinking too. Take out the try, he still scored 50, which I think is perfectly fine if he's your 16th, 17th man on a bye week. Now, the question then becomes, do you think I should go Lussick over Appy for the money? Because you take out the try, and he only got 40-odd. Yeah. I mean, I don't... The question is all about, in terms of job security. Like, we know Appy is going to play 60, 65 minutes as a bare minimum. He's going to goal kick as well. But the problem is the Tigers aren't exactly playing good footy. So I would probably lean towards Lussick, use the cash elsewhere, take the cash grab, and then you can go, when you have more data, when we've got a little bit more of a sample size on what's going on at hooker at the moment, then you can make a decision on what you want to do in 6-7 rounds. Because I think Lussick as a play in round 4 is fine. Yeah, I was gonna say I'd probably just have to wait the week. I probably wouldn't be able to buy him at 317. I'd probably have to buy him at like 380. But if Levi makes me 40k, I'm only taking a 40k hit there just to wait a week and get a better asset. I am just going through the great man Jay Sherbett's Twitter at the moment. Just trying to find this Parramatta game because we'll have a roughly idea. His break even is roughly going to be minus 38, and Levi's is going to be minus 13. So I don't think like the cash difference is going to be I think it's going to be favored towards Lussick by maybe 30k. So then do I just say to myself, would I rather save the difference between Lussick and Appy is like 260k,
250,
like, and then so it's 220 if we take out that 40k price rise. Like, would I rather just save that and get a Hosking or get a Olakawatu or get a Hamiso? And the answer is probably yes. So I've probably talked myself into my trade plans. Apart from that, for the Eels, Dylan Brown. Actually, I was going to say let's move on, but let's not, because Dylan Brown, he's on fraud watch. He's on fraud watch for me.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, we talked him up so big in the preseason, and he hasn't been bad.
He just
hasn't been good.
Base hasn't been there, which I think is surprising.
I mean, he had 2 try assists and still only scored 65.
Yeah, that's some horrendous levels of base. I don't know why. Like, I haven't looked into it too much. Is there a bunch of negatives? Is he just not making tackles? Is Brad
16 tackles. He had 5 misses and 16 tackles. That is low for Dylan Brown. We're usually used to Dylan Brown making 25 to 30 tackles a game.
A lot of people are saying Browns to Brooks in the chat, and I can't hate it.
Yeah,
you say, I can't hate it. We'll talk about it soon, but it's definitely worth considering.
There might be a public apology coming very soon on the podcast for Luke Brooks.
Sean Lane, also on fraud watch. Massively.
He's more of a concern for me than Dylan Brown is, for sure.
I can't sell with the draw. I'm just going to have to ride this out because plays the Manly Sea Eagles, who just conceded a try assist and a line break assist to Tilly, and also conceded 2 line breaks to CSU Long. It's going to be hard to sell for that. And then round 4 plays the Tigers. We're torn, man.
We talk a lot on the podcast about rotating fullbacks and looking at matchups and stuff. And basically, the plan for this year is just going to be play whoever or trade in whoever's playing the Tigers for that week, and you'll probably win Supercoach.
It's a bit like an FPL. There's a running meme to just target whoever plays Sheffield United. The Tigers are the Sheffield United. Matto with a 60, good for him. Not an option. Just scrolling through here, the Cardi party is dead. The party lasted a week.
But it might come back again. You just never know. It's like a pop-up party. You never know about the party until about the night before. But then you get a text message on your phone and you think, oh, Cardi party's back on. It's one of those.
Sorry, I just want to shout out the four coaches who traded Cardi out after his 130-point affair. They saw incredible. It. They were like, it can't happen. Yeah. Lightning can't strike twice.
It's because they went to the Cardi party and the Cardi party ran out of beer last week and the credit cards maxed out. So
the party host said, boys, no party next week.
Yeah, basically. Gutho 35?
Yeah.
Moses 36. I think
just Gutho, isn't it?
Yeah. It's both of them, really. Moses, we know, can go as low as anyone. He did kick goals, though. So that's promising for owners, but he was not promising with the score.
He was supposed to clearly outscore Cleary, wasn't he, over the first 6 weeks?
I was told that, yeah.
Clearly, there's no close. No, Moses, I think if you didn't sell this week, I think you probably just hold. I mean, I don't see a world where you sell, not with Manly, Tigers, Cowboys, Raiders, Dolphins. If you decided to go, you know what, I don't care about your groin, I'm going to hold through, I think you just end up holding. Apart from that, not much else. Brennan Hands, 1 point or a fair. Shout out to him if you still own him for your AEs. Moving on to can we skip the Raiders Tigers game? I'm very happy to.
I wish we could. Let's go very quickly through it. Zach Hosking, though, big conversation to have about him.
Hosking. Yes. Shout out to the one person that traded him out this week.
Really, one person?
Yeah, because I open up. Obviously, I open up their when we talk about them, I open up their player profile to see their price and see, fixtures coming up, and then you can see with Supercoach Gold how many traded in, how many traded out. 2,837 traded in. One person traded out.
Jesus.
Hosking 92 last week, 109 this week. You're concerned?
Yeah, 100% I am. And I mean, look, the logic is saying that should we ever trust Ricky Roulette? And the answer, and why is it no? But the issue with this is that this is a pure cash grab, right? And this is exactly the same as what happened last year with Hosking. When he came in,
that's the thing. Like whenever he's
he's a gun.
He's always been good.
But the problem is Ricky going to see that and allow him to flourish over his prized possession, Elliott Whitehead? And that's my issue, is that I feel like no matter what fucking happens, man, Hosking could go out and score a hat-trick every week for a month, and then he would be replaced by Elliott Whitehead, who would come and plod on the edge, and Hosking had just come off the bench. And
he offers so much that Whitehead doesn't. I think Whitehead could be a great just tackle bot in the middle, just be a body. But Hosking offers so much on the edge, man. At 511k, if he has another like 80-point score, he could be 670 in like a couple.
But this was the thing last year too, right? Where we went and he did exactly the same thing, probably better this year, but he did the same thing last year. He went and got 80 and 70 or something, and he was going to rise like 100k. We all jumped on him. Everyone jumped on him. We took the 100k, but the problem is, by the time we had the ability to trade him back out, he was back down to his fucking starting price. So we made nothing from him.
So let me read you out. So Hosking played over, I don't know, let's just say, I don't know. So he didn't play for the first 3 weeks, and I think Sorensen got injured or something like that. 117, 80, 61, 62, and then dropped back to smaller rotations, then had a 55, a 67, and then just dropped back to 30 minutes. And then Ivan Cleary just said, all right, back to 30 minutes for you. You shit the bed for a bit. And then at the back end of the season played, some more 80-minute stints, 55, 39, and then just played fuck all minutes. I think there's a lot of value in Hosking. I don't see a world where he loses the spot. Like, I know that you're concerned. Maybe I'm looking at this through like rose-tinted glasses where I'm like, oh, he's going to be great. He's 40k more expensive than Heaton Lukey. That's fucking absurd. Maybe I'm looking at this just being like too overreactive. But like, how do you lose your spot? Like, he's shown that with Smithies as well. Like, he's come out and said Corey Hawes was just going to be playing in the middle because Smithies is just too good.
For sure.
The Raiders are playing fucking unreal. Like, they've been one of the best teams in the comp. Yes, they played us and we suck.
Yeah.
But they've been unreal.
That's the one thing I think is the saving grace here, and the one thing that is making me not completely write that off is the fact they've been winning. If they've been losing, Ricky's going to shuffle his cards. Yeah. He's going to fucking change things up. But they've been winning, and they haven't won for a long time. So I think there's every chance. Logic would say that he has to stay there on an edge, and Elliott Whitehead comes off the bench and comes and plays minutes through the middle. But I just don't trust Ricky Roulette.
I don't think it will happen, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them 6-0. I mean, they play the Warriors next week. That probably could be a slip-up game. But I think if you lose to the Warriors, Ricky Stewart can be like, "That all right, the Warriors are a good side." Sharks, I think they could do the Sharks. I haven't been convinced.
Yeah, for sure.
Parramatta, I think you could do Parramatta. I haven't been overly convinced.
Anyone can beat Parramatta.
Of course. Parramatta can also beat anyone. That's the issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Titans, you should roll over as well. So, like, there's a world where I think at worst they're 4-2, maybe 5-1, and at best 6-0. And at that stage, it's just like, well, let's not mess with this.
Quick one from Mr. Callio here. If you don't own Smithies, is it too late?
No, I just don't like he's not like amazing. He's priced at a 34 and he'll get you 15 points of value. Like, it's not like out of this world value, but I think he makes good cash. I think he holds his spot and probably just pumps you out of 50. I think you have to fuck him off in like round 7 or 8. But if you're happy with that and you take the 150k price rise, then yeah. I mean, I own him, so I like him a lot. I think he's very boring. I think this game was low for him because of just how dominant they were. Like, you look at last week, it was very much of an arm wrestle through the middle. Raiders middles, Knights middles, they just going back and forth. But this week it was like, no, we're just going to torch the Tigers and we're not going to play in the middle at all. So I think this was just a low week for him. I'd jump on.
Did you see Ricky Stewart's little sign that he puts up in his change rooms? It says "fuck him."
To be fair, I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That.
Yeah,
that is elite. Ethan Strange, he's got a nice little green highlight next to his name for me. He doesn't for you. But he's got a brown. He's got a black one because you're a fraud. But man, he looked unreal. Like he went.
I'm not a fraud because I never said that he would that I would play him. I'd be a fraud if I said that I was and then I backed out.
No, you're a fraud for not captaining Hines. You set Matrix up. You set him up to fucking say. So for anyone not listening, in the chat, Braino wanted to straight captain Hines all week, and I kept saying to him, "Don't do it. Just VC. What if he sucks?" And
I was influenced.
And no. And about half an hour before the game, Braino said, "Fuck it, I'm straight captaining. Matrix, come with me." And Matrix was like, "Yep, all right, let's do it." And then about 10 minutes before kickoff, this fucking weasel just put the VC on him.
I did. Hey, I publicised it though. I said it in the Discord. I didn't do it sneakily. I told everybody I was going to do it. So Matrix had enough time.
He won.
He's too fucking busy holidaying that he didn't see my message. That's what it is. But he did win.
He
did win.
70 points, better than you and I.
And that's why he's got the trophy next to his name.
Exactly. But yeah, Ethan Strange, I think he looks unreal. He looks like a little bit like Jerome Luai in terms of like the attack and how they use him. It's like Cleary and Fogarty structured, but it's like shit. When we have nothing going on, let's just give it to Strange and see what he can do. And he did that. Like he scored a great try. Nothing was happening. Jinked back off the left foot, jinked off the right foot, and just cut us to pieces. And he looked really mature, defended really well, had a great try saver. Looks a great footy player.
Yeah, he does. He's very good. There's not really much more to say on him. He's dirt cheap. Just
I don't know if he's a play every week. I think I played him just off the matchup. And
your choice was also between him and Torpiki, which in the end netted you, I think, 5 or 6 points. But like, it was a tough decision.
I was devastated to a big try assist. I was like, fuck's sake. I thought it was a genius. Apart from that, not a hole at Torbe here. Smithy to 49. I think that's just a down game due to him, just playing in a side that dominated. And then I've got a brown tag or black tag next to D Levi. Now, D Levi with his minus 19 break even will 100% be in my team next week. But after that, boy, I'm struggling.
Oh, he's going to get punted. He's got to go. Yep, he's bad. And look, we never said he was going to be good, did we? We're just getting a basement price. I hoped
more than fucking 20-something points without a try, though.
238. Oh, I mean, so he's priced at a 22. Like, I mean, does he get 22 in base? It's probably exactly what we paid for.
Brother, he was on 9 points last week at halftime.
Yeah, he's shit house. He's not good. Like, I'm not defending him and saying he's a good player. He's terrible. But I think one more week, negative break even, it's going to be like minus
get out
15. Yeah, and get the fuck off as quick as you can. Yeah, it's awful. Tigers wise, Appy, great.
Oh, sorry, just 80. That's the thing with the Levi to Lussick thing. Like, I wouldn't panic. I would just have 40k, 50k in the bank to just be like, all right, I'm going to cop a small loss, but you'll cop a small loss in week 4, but you'll gain more cash over the long period of time with Lussick. So I wouldn't I wouldn't just kill Levi. Like, if you have no other trades this week, sure, jump on Levi. But for me, for example, like, I've got probably 5 trades I want to make, and Levi to Lussick is probably the 4th priority for me personally. But if you do it yourself, I don't hate it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you can wait. You can wait a week. I think there's some other pressing moves that you can make this week. If you have Harlem Lukey, if there's a couple of other moves that you can make too. So I think Levi's a hold this week. Just take the minimal cash you're going to get from him. If he gets 30 next week, which is every chance he does, 25 or whatever, you make yourself like 30, 25k, 30k, and then you just bail.
What is it about? It's about 1k every point. So I think if he's like minus 19 and he gets 20, then you might make just under 40k.
That's fine. And we take the 40k and we run. And you move him on, and you move him to someone playable, because the question is, you probably got Harry Grant. If you got Harry Grant as your starting hooker, you need to get off Levi by round 4. But if you don't, and you've got Appy as your starting hooker, you don't need to rely on Levi to actually play in round 4 because the Storm have the bye. So maybe you can just leave him there and just let him plod.
If you don't have Grant, then that's fine. If you have Robson, then we're not having this conversation. It's just for the Grant owners, it's like, fuck, do we want to be playing Levi? Because he's not going to score a try every week, and he'll get you at 18 points, and you're like, why have I done this to myself? Apps like Coruscant, 82 points. Appy owners bailed out hard because Levi just flopped over for a try last week, and then you get the junk attack from this week. I hate you.
They played it well. I think Appy with the goal kicking, that was the big, I guess, clincher for a lot of people. In saying that, though, like, I'm still not overly convinced, as weird as that sounds. Like, I love Appy, and I think he'll be good for 45 to 55 most weeks on a bad day, because he's such a central part of what the Tigers do. But fuck, the Tigers are bad. And this is coming from a supporter. They were terrible, and
Bro,
we're all.
I know that like I know that Buller and Galvin were shining lights, and so was like Fainu. Like, fuck, Clemmer sucks. Bateman sucks. Like Bateman, his whole appeal is like, let me just talk a bunch of shit and do fuck all. Papali'i sucks, man. Like we're shit. Appy has just collected the bag and said, fuck it. I got how many premierships to get? 2? I got 2 premierships. That'll do. I'm just gonna ride to the sunset.
Did he get 2 or 3? Did he have one with the Panthers or 2? Because he got one with South.
With South, sorry, I'm not with the men. So he's got a couple of rings, cheated on his misses, had some fun at Origin camp, and then just said, peace out. I'm gonna get the bag.
That's that meme where the guy disappears. It's like,
that's it. He's just like, fuck it, let's get the bag and do nothing. We suck, man. We're so bad.
It's tough. It's tough to watch. Well, we'll push on. We'll be
It's
right.
funny
Hopefully
because
we improve from last year.
People say to us, oh, do you feel shit watching your team? And like I say, I stopped caring in 2014. And that's true. Like I have just attached all emotional feelings to the Tigers in like 2015. Like I'm just like, we're terrible.
Speaking of terrible, and a guy we need to jump off fucking ASAP is Alex Seyfarth. And I'm more than happy to put my hand up and say we got this one wrong.
What the fuck?
He was awful. 21 Supercoach points. Bud Sullivan scored more in like 42 minutes and got hooked.
He missed like 7 tackles in like 13 minutes or something.
This is what he does, though. He racks up negative stats.
But like,
so
I just assume, because I put my hand up, I got it wrong as well. Like, but I just assumed that like a new coach comes in, and if he starts you after you being shit for a whole preseason, I would have expected like some improvement. He stinks.
He does.
He is ass. He is just pure ass. Like, if you have him and you bought him because of us, I am so sorry. Just sell to Finafiliaki and just fucking sell. Because he is shit. He is terrible. What the hell?
Get off.
What's Matamua doing? Like, does Matamua does everyone just hate him at the Tigers?
He slept with someone's missus. There is no doubt in my mind. Yeah. Agent Cheese wants to know if we're overreacting, if we want to do safe after Fainu after next round. That's Samuela Fainu, by the way. Let's have a chat about him. 58 minutes. Surely that doesn't continue.
Yeah, I mean, if Seyfarth continues to suck, sure. I mean, Fainu was great. He looked really good. I loved Fainu.
He was.
I can't wait to see him in another team's jersey in about 3 years' time. He looked really good. Yes, he scored the try, which inflated his stats a little bit. But like, you take that out, he still scored. I think the try was without a line break as well, if I'm not mistaken, because I think Galvin and Buller broke the line, and then Buller drew him past the fullback, which isn't considered a line break. Just correct.
I gave him a line break for it.
Still, okay, so 27 points because there was no tackle bust. So he still scored 48 for 270k. Like, I don't
37
think
tackles. Big work.
I don't think he's the best 270k option at 2RF, but yeah, he's handy.
The issue is you got 8 points in hit up. So 4 runs that he took over 8 meters, 3 runs under 8 meters.
I think that's just due to us being dominated in the middle, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
we did get flogged.
Clemmer played fuck all minutes. Like, he's a cat.
33 minutes Clemmer played. Terrible.
Like, the only people with good go forward are Fanua Bole, Fainu. Like, I don't know. We suck. Just start Bole. Just start Fainu. Start Matamua. I'd rather go 0-24 playing these young kids than holding on to whatever fucking remnants of David Clemmer there is.
It's true. Let's move on. We've talked enough. Lockie Galvin, by the way, is a Jet. So we'll talk about maybe 5-8 options on Tuesday. Cowboys 21, Knights 20. Ponga, the talking point, I guess. But Adam Elliott is a boost for Elliott season again.
Oh, baby. I knew it. I always had faith. Never in doubt, baby. Always Adam Elliott. Nah. I don't really give a fuck about the 2 tries. I really care about the 73 minutes. Now,
yeah,
I said on X last week, the Knights just got pumped. And they were trying to play like Croslin, Cogger, Gamble, Hastings, Ponga all in the one. And they're like, you have to take out a middle for that. And they were just getting rissoled through the middle. And Leo Thompson played 63 minutes. Elliott played 73. Like, great. That's great. That's much better than whatever the hell was going on last week. Yeah, the 2 tries are nice, whatever. But like, I think it's just the minutes that are promising. Like, I'd need to see it continually. But he looked really good.
He did. Probably not a guy you just jump on and as a must buy this round. But I mean, Ruben Cotter was also good.
The minute watch is the big
He
thing.
made 53 tackles, team high for Ruben Cotter. Also played 69 minutes in the middle of the field. So does he become now the saviour at the front row forward position? I know he's got the dual. You're not playing him at 2RF for obvious reasons, but does he become now the fix at front row forward? Can we go from Lenu to Cotter potentially as an option?
I really wanted to go Lenu. I really wanted to go Cotter last week. If I didn't go, I'm fucking spewing because if I didn't go Labour, I was going Cotter, and I went Labour because I couldn't trust Todd Payton, so I'm filthy. But I think so. Like, he had a shit score last week, so the break even is not going to be too astronomical. He might rise to like 460, 465, which you'll still pay that. We said it in the preseason. Games over 55 minutes, he averaged like 63, and that's off a good sample size. So he's fine. Let's skip over everyone for the moment because I want to circle to that Jason Tamalolo, who scored 44 points. People who held might think, we're back, baby. You're not back. His knees are gone. He's got degenerative knees. He's got no cartilage in them. He's going to be managed severely this year. Short turnarounds, expecting to play fuck all minutes. Like, he might go through a month of playing 40 minutes and then a month of nothing. The upside is
chance.
There's no,
not a chance.
This was a good Tamalolo game. And he scored 44, and you paid for 42. Like, get off.
52 minutes he played as well. I mean, I know we're talking golden point too, so you can kind of take 5 minutes off for the most part. But, I mean, 47 minutes is probably more than what I would have expected from JT.
Yeah, like, that's concerning for JT and his PPM. Like, shout out to the 101 people that traded him in this week after his 19-point performance last week. But no, like just get off. Like, this ownership's at 11%. Like, I need to be seeing this at like 6 next week, and I won't because people will just look at the 44 and be like, oh, okay. But just get off, please. Okay, let's actually chat about the Cowboys because there is some things to talk about here. Obviously, Zach Labour, not great. Let's just move on. He had some chances. They were just hit and felt. Whatever. Here he is, the big man. Kilu Kifu Finufuiaki, 292K, traded in by 30 people this week. Geniuses, ahead of the curve.
That is incredible.
Wizards. He looks to be the 80-minute edge. I expect Thomas McKayle's been playing 18th man. I expect McKayle to come into the rotation, which makes me a little bit hesitant on Cotter. I want to see how they go with a 4-forward bench. Sorry, a four middle bench. But it's all systems go for Fuiaki. It doesn't have to be this week because his break-even heading into this game was only 33, and he scored a 38. His break-even, what did Jay have it as? So his break-even is looking in the 20s, isn't it? At a 31. So it doesn't say scream to buy me, but I think you can buy him early because I think he is a very playable option. I think he's an 80-minute edge. He looks like a stud. They will hit Nanai hard. Don't get me wrong. Nanai will be the focal point. But I think Finufuiaki can shoot you at 50 points. And you can go from there. He scored 33 in, I would have to check the minutes, but he scored 33. He's a huge body.
59 minutes.
No, minutes. So give him another 20. It's probably looking at something like a 45.
50.
45, 50. And updates haven't fully come in yet, so we don't know. I think it's all systems go.
I think it's a great play. I think that's probably what I'm leaning towards this week. You can make 200K from that trade, and I think a lot of people are looking at Ponga down to a Teddy or Latrell or someone, Pappy, that'll make you 200K. I would probably rather make my money from going Hylam Lukey down to Finufuiaki. Make you 200K. I've already got 160 in the bank, so that gives me 360K roughly, and then I can make my upgrade wherever I want to make it. So I'm probably locked into doing that move. And that's probably the only move I'm locked into that I'm pretty confident at on a Sunday night. And I'll tell you what, I've got about 5 or 6 more rage trades really kind of marinating in the back there. So we'll see what comes out on Tuesday. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a good play.
Sorry, I just watched Caleb Sarong score 170 points at AFL Fantasy. I had him all preset and jumped off.
I've got him in my team, Sarong. Thanks for coming.
170 points, 21 contested possessions. What is happening? So Lukey, Moonboot, syndesmosis, needs surgery, 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks,
It's 8 weeks. Unfortunate. Sucks because he's great with the minutes. But let's move off him. You've already pumped up Fina Fuiaki. I don't think we need to discuss, Val Holmes just had a shit game. Drinky had a 62. If I had Drinky, I'm not selling him. Does Drinky become a buy? Like, is Drinky a guy that you're looking at picking up? Because Dragons, Broncos, Titans, Para, Sharks in the next sort of 6 weeks.
I mean, I'm probably not buying him this week, considering he had 119 break even this week and scored 60? So he's going to drop cash next week. I mean, if you want to grab him, you can grab him next week, maybe. It just becomes. I mean, let's quickly have a look at their draw and see what pops up. So the Cowboys are at the bottom. They've got the Dragons this week, so that's a nice matchup. Into the Broncos, then you've got the Titans Para back to back, which is handy. I mean, for the most part, there's really not too many bad matchups in this next 10 rounds. They've got the Broncos in round 4, which is tricky, and they've got the Panthers in round 8. But the rest of them are okay.
I'm sorry, no one cares, but Sarong had 46 disposals. That's absurd.
Yeah, you got to get on that.
10 clearances and 21 contested possessions. No one cares apart from me and you, but that is mental.
That's big.
That's huge. 170 points is massive. So Drinky's, probably not the guy. I mean, I don't hate it. Like, if you're one of those guys that are like, okay, I don't really care about team value. Ponga sucks. I don't hate Drinky. He's probably like the 4th option for me behind Trell, Pappy, and Teddy. Like, that's where I'm looking at. So that's the Cowboys. As for the Knights, yes, obviously Elliott with 112. We love that for him. Mr. Base himself, Gagai with a 62. Not looking at picking any of these guys up. Marzu, panicking?
I would be. I think the base isn't there. 42 with the try is the concern. 46 with the try. He made 2 tackles, which we don't care about tackles so much. So only 2 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 3 offloads, 22 in runs as well. Like, I don't know, when we look at this game, he didn't really have the opportunity to work his way out of his own end too much, but I'd be worried. I'd be probably selling Marju before I'd sell Ponga, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, 100%. 96 break even heading into this week. Like, Ponga can do it himself. We saw him nearly score twice. Yeah. Like, I would, if I had the Ponga Marzu stack, Marzu's the guy that I'm calling. Absolutely. I can't believe I'm saying this, but is Leo Thompson an option? 63 minutes, scored 59 points, 558K, scored 41 in 43 minutes last week, so had an uptick in minutes this week. And I think he deserves the minutes. I think he's their best middle. Their best prop. I don't think he's their best middle behind Elliott, but I think he's their best prop. Yeah, I don't know. Like, was it
the minutes from Saifidi last week? Like, because Jacob Saifidi played 57 minutes last week, and now he's got 45. So there's 12 minutes that disappeared.
Do you think AOB has a rotation, or do you think he's just playing guys based off performance? Like, if next week,
no chance.
If next week someone like Daniel comes out and plays really well off the bench, do you think he just lets Daniel ride?
I think so. I think he just rides the hot hand, which is the concern.
Whereas you look at a guy like Kevin Walters, he's very methodical with his rotations. It's Carrigan for 70, it's Haas for 65, it's everyone else for 40. Whereas I think AOB is the kind of guy that's just like, no, we'll just, and same as Ricky. Ricky's another one like this as well. Ricky's a guy that just goes, they're playing well, we'll just leave them on there, which is shit for Supercoach.
Yeah, it's awful.
Because your guy could play well, but he's not playing as well as the other guy, and he just gets hooked.
But I think also with this bench, you've got Cogger and Cartwright on the bench, right? So, like, they're only going to play edge or utility, basically. So, you've got
Lucas this week. So you've only got KPP playing edge as well.
Yeah. So if I'm more so maybe leaning towards Cogger, if like they name Cogger again next week, and then you've also got Lucas on the bench, or KPP drops back to the bench, Lucas starts. You've got to kind of lean into Leo Thompson. It's not about an option when you've only got Daniel Saifidi and Jack Hetherington to cover those middle minutes.
Worth noting, Crosland played not as many minutes this week. So last week, as I was saying, they took up a lot of field possession by having Cogger and Crosland on the park together, which takes out a middle spot. This week, they took Crosland off, which obviously kept more big body middles on the park. So I think if AOB continues with Cogger at hooker, then it's good things for your Knights forwards with your Leo Thompsons and your Elliots. They're the only two I'm really looking at. Hello, Mr. A-Man. A-Man Talks. I think it's Hosking, isn't it?
Yeah, the question becomes for the audio listeners, Lukey, to Curran or Hosking.
Keep forgetting audio as well.
And that's a tough question. We talked a little bit at the start about, that we're unsure about the rotation and how many minutes Curran gets, and we're also unsure about how Whitehead plays into this kind of team. I reckon both of them come with their risks, but you've got to take Hosking out of the two purely for cash. They both come with the same amount of risk for me.
I think Hosking. I think they both play the same minutes. To be honest, at worst case, I think Hosking might drop back to 60. So I'd rather take the cash. So yeah, I'd go Hosking, Mr. Aman. And
the only question then, the only question becomes if Curran gets his front row forward duel, which everyone is petitioning for. Do you go early on him, hoping and planning around the fact that he could potentially go up to front row forward at one point?
Well, that's the thing. Like we said this, they did it to Cotter last year, where Cotter was coming on or playing 13, and they never gave it because of injury. And I'm just terrified that they don't do it as well. I don't think Curran's going to get astronomically expensive. I think Curran may cap out at $550. I'd still buy him at $550 if he's getting the front row forward duel, like him and Cotter. It could be the same guys. I'd just wait until we try and get as much information as possible. I was going to say shout out to Aman and Serge Reguilon, who he free hit this week for a -3 pointer, which is lovely in Supercoach, lovely in FPL. So KP 45, monstrous break even. I think it's 190 projected, something like that, something absurd. Plays the Storm this week. Now the Storm are going to be without Cam Munster. They're going to be without Jerome Hughes. Does that change your thinking with KP? Because I don't think this is a KP issue. I think this is a Knights issue.
No, it's a Knights issue. 100% it is.
I
don't think KP's done anything wrong.
He looks great, but the Knights suck.
They do. I won't lie. This is definitely a move I've considered making this week. And I know that it's Sunday night. We can't play around with trades yet. We haven't locked out. But, as obsessed super coaches, I'm sure everybody else in the chat would understand that I've probably made about 15 trades in my head. And KP down to either a Latrell or even a Pappy or even Tedesco is floating around at some point. But I think also we've got to look at the game. So if you've watched the Knights games, they've been fucking terrible. But we also haven't seen him doing his little trademark sweep through the left-hand side down to Marju's edge, which is kind of strange to me because that was a side that they were so dominant on last year. I'm not quite sure exactly why that is, but it seems like they haven't done it as much. So if they bring that back into their game, great. I think Ponga benefits, but I don't know. I'm seriously considering moving him on and just kind of banking a little bit of cash. And I know we say don't trade out guns and all that kind of stuff, but there's every chance he could drop a bit of money and you can get him back.
Yeah. I might have to wave the white flag and just admit that KP is probably a guy I'm looking at in round 7 because I want him. I think he is the second. I think he's the second best fullback for Supercoach, not in the NRL, but for Supercoach, I think he's the second best.
And I think Jay hit the nail on the head with Cogger being the key to unlocking Ponga and just get Gamble off the fucking field.
Yeah, Gamble's Will Kennedying Ponga. He's just fucking so many times. I probably counted 7 or 8 times that Gamble would just throw a fucking horrendous ball on the 4th tackle and KP would just have to dive on it. And it's like, fuck, it's sick. We're 15 minutes out. Your best player is on the ground because your 6 just throws a dreadful ball. I probably counted it 7 or 8 times, and that's not even being hyperbolic. It just happened so many times. It was so frustrating.
Yep. Let's save a little bit of content for Tuesday. But let's move on to Storm Warriors 30-26. Cracker of a finish. That fucking Xavier Coates try in the corner.
Yeah. So when you said move on, are we just skipping over KPP until Tuesday? Is that what you want to skip over? Okay, cool.
Yeah. I think so.
Xavier. I lost it. I was like, what is happening? What is this? That was unreal. So
good. Good finish. And how good is it just, honestly, I'm not talking Supercoach at all, but how good is it seeing Ryan Pappenhausen back scoring tries?
100%.
He was so good.
How good is it seeing Bellyache just not give a fuck anymore either? See, even in the interviews, he was just like, yeah, whatever. Bellyache's done, which is, I love that. He's just like, let him have it.
It's funny in there were a couple of chats in the Podmasters chat that we had. There were people throwing a bit of shade at RTS saying, I don't know why I started the season with RTS. And this was probably in the first 30, 40 minutes and he wasn't really doing much. And he finished on a 75 by doing absolutely fucking nothing. And this is exactly why we bought him.
He just shits. He had a line break, but RTS just shits points. Like he just tackle bust here, crab walk there, bullshit offload. They'll give him an offload when a defender's sort of reaching out and they're like, we'll just give that to RTS. That's an offload. Like he just shits points. And this is the guy that we paid for. Like, yes, we paid 52 points for him and he scored a 46 last week. Oh my God.
We're ahead.
Horrendous. Yeah. We lost 6 points in a game where he did nothing. Like that's his flaw. He'll score 45 on his worst day. I don't think 75 is his best day. He probably doesn't have a massive 100 in him, but I think he has a lot of 90s.
Yep. And when you think about it, what is the average now over 2 games? 60, and we paid 53. So you're still ahead. There's absolutely no concern about RTS at all. I guess sorry, go.
I was going to say he's not here, so we can have an unbiased chat about Luke Metcalf.
We're talking about. Yeah, sure we are. All right. Go on then.
Man, he looks fucking unreal.
The goal kicking was a clincher for me.
His score was heavily inflated this week by the goal kicking. I expect SJ's picked up some kind of knock that was just unreported. I wouldn't be surprised to see SJ kicking next week or the week after. Like, I don't expect Metcalf to be the goal kicker, but I just think SJ picked up something that, hampered him a little bit that we didn't discuss.
So. Yeah, I think so.
I don't think he's the best option to buy at this price. Unfortunately.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. I still think he's a great buy. Like, if you started with Brooks, is there a world where you just run Metcalf and Brooks? Or is Galvin too good to part? Oh, sorry. Not many people actually would own Galvin. Would you sell a center wing, move Strange down, and get in a Metcalf?
Just depends on what your reserves are looking like and what your plan is in terms of your moves every single week. Like for me, I went really heavy in the 2RF for this reason, so I could play 2 reserves in the 2RF every single week, and then I've also got. Obviously got 2 gun fullbacks, so that's an option, then 2 gun halves. So basically all 4 reserves are kind of locked up in 2RF, halfback and fullback for me. So for me, I'm not someone that would be looking at adding depth to my 5'8" bench because I'd very rarely play them. But if someone was a little bit short in terms of playable players, I don't hate it. If they went really heavy with like a couple of extra guns that I don't have, I really don't mind it because he did look the goods. Where's Matrix in the comments? I'm just waiting for something to pop through because I know he's watching. He was good. He was
great shout. Great shout. Also, very very good looking man. I didn't realize he was a bit of a stunner. As much as we would love Rocco Berry to stink it up because it would just entice Webster to play Chance at center, Rocco Berry's playing some great footy, and I don't see that happening. So we ride Tuapiki into the sunset. I think he's been great. He did 49 points doing fuck all. He scored 51 this week with a try assist and a line break assist. I expected the scoring to be down against Melbourne, so the try assist and line break assist was great for his cash gen. I don't think we get more than 4 games out of him, but he's been great. Yeah. I'll always have fond memories of Tane Tuapiki.
Yeah, I think we're seeing K coming back. He's definitely not someone we hold on to long term. But and we were initially talking about Tuapiki to Talau, but now that might even change to Tuapiki to Vega or someone. So
yeah,
shame.
Adding Fanua Blake. So as I said, I pull up everyone's player profile. After his 103-point affair, shout out to the 9 coaches that traded him out for this. I love Supercoach, man. It's the best, especially early rounds when like everyone's still engaged. 50 points for him. Yeah, we can't bank on AFB scoring tries every week. Shock horror.
We cannot. 50 is still okay though. Not going to complain about a 50, but the problem is you were paid. You paid for a 73.
Yeah, you paid for a 73 and you got a 50. But yeah, shock horror. Front row forwards don't score tries every week. I mean, you're still doing well. He's still averaging 75 points, and so you're still breaking even, which is nice. But yeah, when he's not scoring tries, they have a really good forward pack. Tohu Harris plays big minutes. Mitch Barnett, I think, is great for this team. They're going to get Nia Corday back. I think he's going to be good as well. Well, I think he's been really good as well. So I just don't think the reliance on Adam Don Blake is there. So that's my take on it. Obviously, I look like a bit of a mug in round 1 when I was sort of poo-pooing him all preseason. But I don't expect 50 to be his floor. But I had him pegged at like a 67 average for the season.
Tommy Leesman in the chat said Webster's press conference said CNK still 3 weeks away, which is great for tour PG owners.
So when he says 3 weeks away, I assume he's ready for round 4, which gets round 5, which gets us 1 price rise extra than what we thought, which is nice. So we like that.
100%.
Not much else to talk about. Oh, SJ, 26 now. I think someone tagged you and I on Twitter on this. He hasn't been credited for any hit-ups. So SJ did not take the line on. 3 missed tackles. So 13 tackles, 3 misses. Had 1 is TS's try assist. Yeah. So had 1 try assist, no goals.
2 try contributions.
Yeah, not great.
And no runs.
Not great. In a side that scored 26 points.
Yeah. Interesting. The ball did go left a lot, to be fair. And Metcalf obviously dominating the left-hand side. So, but yeah, definitely concerned. If you're an SJ owner, right, and you went and you decided I want to fade Cleary or Nico and I want to go with SJ, do you now just admit that this is the move that didn't work and you just have to jump on one of the guns?
So what's it costing you? It's going to cost you nearly 200K to get. That's the problem. Like, where are you finding the money?
Yeah.
You got to find.
You would have to rip your team apart now.
Yeah, like 170K. Like that's a grant to a Robson, and then an SJ to a Cleary. And I just don't think that's probably worth it. Not in current form. Like Cleary and Hines are guys you are happy to hold, but I wouldn't say you'd be happy to buy if that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Makes sense to me. What else is going on here? Joe Chan. He was great. 59. He was solid.
We said this, and I don't want to be that podcast. It's like we told you so. Rub it in.
But we told you so.
He is young. He is raw. He's gonna have games where he misses 7-8 tackles. Eli Katoa did the exact same thing when he started. Joe Chan is very, very good. He's a good footy player. I think he will be fine. I said he'd finish the season averaging, 50, 55, like in that sort of back end stretch. I don't think that's going to be a season average, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish with a 5-round average of like 55. And we'll make some good cash off the back of this. I'd love Joe Chan scoring a 59 in round 2. I would hate Joe Chan scoring a 59 in round 1 because we get more price rises out of him now, and we love him for that. True. Ryan Pappenhausen, 128. What are we doing? Because this buy in round 4 is really shit. Plays the Knights next week. Plays the Broncos the week after. Plays the Bulldogs, which is juicy at Amy Park. Plays the Roosters and the Bunnies, which isn't ideal. And then it's pretty golden. Titans, Sharks, Eels, Manly. Buy in round 13. Knights. Like we said in the preseason, Pappy from like round 9 onwards, like all systems go.
I'd even argue Pappy from round 6. So obviously the first couple of rounds have been tough. He still scored. I mean, the New Zealand Warriors were, I think, he conceded the 3rd least amount of points Supercoach wise last year. And he went and scored 128 against them. Then he's got Newcastle next week, who have been shaky as all fuck and looked very, very bad. Then they've got the bye. So I think we can't really talk about getting Pappy until after the bye. But the problem is, if he goes out and peels out another 100 against Newcastle this week, he's probably 720, 730K.
Yeah, that's the issue. He looks great, like unreal. Like I'm so glad to see him back. He's got 128 with no tries, sweeping really well. When you get Munster back, like good luck to defenders because you need to deal with Munster. You can't just play off him like you do with like Carl Flanagan, for example. No, like you have to play on Munster. You have to play on Hughes. And you have to be alert for Grant. Like it's an unreal spine. They're all back floating. Do you think... I don't think he goal kicks again this season. I just think Bellamy just says, perhaps just get through the season. We don't need you kicking. Meany's a great player. Meany's a great goal kicker. Also, can we just... No one talks about Meany just slowing that from the sideline after the siren when it meant nothing. And he didn't take a run up. He just sort of hastily went back, just threw it over.
How often has he done that at training? I reckon he does it every week.
You always see the Melbourne Storm social media, like with coffee bets. Meany would make so much coffee from people. Yeah. But no, I don't think we see Pap goal kicking. So I think anyone holding out for Pappenhausen to goal kick this year, I think you'll be sad in around 27 when he still hasn't kicked. But that's fine. Like we're not paying $800K for Pappy goal kicking. We're paying $650 for him. And that's probably the difference. He's probably losing 12 points a game on goal kicking, which is fine.
I tell you what, you talked about maybe going Ponga to Trell. I don't mind playing him against Newcastle and then the bye. If you've got a decent bench depth, like Newcastle have been terrible, there's every chance he turns
Grant,
up.
though. That's the problem. Like, you're going to have Grant out, you're going to have Chan out, and you're going to have and Pappy as well. So it's like your 25-man squad's going to a 22.
Yeah.
That's the only problem I have. Like, if you weren't a Grant owner, I could get on board.
I think I'm just thinking about my team right now and who I'd play. So I would have to... I would obviously make a fair bit of cash from this move. So I could upgrade Lenu to Cotter, let's say. So that'd be an extra one I'd play. I could maybe even reserve Liam Henry, which is going to get me 35 points. I didn't play Ethan Strange this week, so I could comfortably reserve Ethan Strange. Who's the Raiders play in that round 4?
So
they play the Sharks.
The Tigers play the Sharks. The Tigers play the Sharks in round 3. So Lockie Galvin will play the Sharks. And Strange will play the Warriors in New Zealand.
Okay.
But you do have Salmon against the Titans.
Don't mind that.
Which could just be a 40-point affair, which is fine.
And let's face it, we're not going to get our start sits right at the best of times. Like, fucking Matrix played Danny Levi last week. Like, and peeled off a 45. One of the best start sits you've ever seen. So we're not going to... It's all over the place. So yeah, look, I mean, there's a chance that I could just pull the trigger early. I don't know yet, but the problem is after the bye they play the Broncos, which is not a nice matchup.
Look, he does have an historical average of 123 against the Broncos. That looks great on paper. He's played 4 games and he had that massive 197 where he scored about 150 before halftime. So take that with a grain of salt. But I think they could match them. I think that might be a bit of a scoring affair. Like, I don't hate it. But I will play around with that as well because I've got some moves I'm looking at as well. Other people from the Storm that we want to consider? Anyone else that we're looking at?
Nah, not for me.
No,
really. We can move on to the Sunday games then, can't we? Sea Eagles Roosters 21-14 for them. All right. Do we have to talk about him?
We do.
Let's talk about him. Let's talk about
him. All right. So priced at a 55 as the main playmaker, I and 2 other hosts on this podcast, we're not keen on Luke Brooks. But man, oh man, he looks good. Yeah, he scored a 59 last week with a try. Take that away, he scores fuck all. But it's just the eye test. He looks so involved. He was half a boot out from scoring, 100 points today. Turbo wasn't great. Like, it's getting harder and harder to ignore him. He has a really nice duel. Had a break even of 51 this week and scored a 77. So his break even is not going to be astronomical. It's probably going to be a 30 thereabouts. So if he comes out and gets a 50 next week, he makes 20K. But then the question becomes, like, can you look at Luke Brooks with a 6 in front of his price tag and buy him?
For me, no. Purely because I have Brown and Galvin. And I don't necessarily feel like either of those guys are a trade out. I know Dylan Brown is on fraud watch, but in saying that, I'm not complaining about a 60. Yes, I paid a 75 for it. I paid it like an 80 for him, but I'm not worried about him just yet. With the Eels draw, I think I'd be silly to move him on. I think he's going to come good relatively soon. And then Galvin, I mean, so I've basically got to make the decision. Do I move on Galvin to get Brooks? Or do I move on Galvin to get Metcalf? Or basically any backup 5'8"? And I don't know whether I want to.
I think Galvin can net you 180K. If he's pumping out 45s in a tight side that gets dominated.
Yeah.
Like, I think I think it's his spot. Like, I don't have any concerns over his job security. Not one bit.
Yeah. Especially when Caesar started on the bench and apparently he was fit to play. And then obviously Bud Sullivan got hooked for Caesar to come on. I'd be concerned if it was Galvin that went off.
Yeah, I think Bud's gone. I've got no concerns over Galvin's job security. I think Benji showed his hand when he named a child to play round 2 with no Reggie's experience. Like, he should throw him in, and he looks great. So I've got no concerns over that. I think he makes good money. I think Luke Brooks is a guy that if you're buying, buy him next week or don't buy him at all. And if you started with him, well done. But apart from that, I'm not looking at anything else. Kohler, stud, love him. Ola Kawatu, 58. could have been
Could have been
85.
100.
Could have been 85, 100 because he had that try disallowed. Is he a guy that you're looking at? Because he's 700k. It's a lot of cash.
I want to so bad because I'm a big Hamoli Olakau'atu fan. I think the guy's a jet. And he is like Payne Haas on an edge. Like when you look at the body shape and just the way that he runs, the guy probably more explosive than Payne Haas, if that's even possible. And he's playing on an edge, running against.
He's also a ball
tiny 5'8".
He's also a ball hog, which we love that.
It's great for Supercoach.
Don't give the ball to Garrick. Just go yourself.
100%.
A couple of times today where he looked really close to going over. We've spoken about Manly's draw at length. It's pretty handy. Parramatta, St. George. Yeah, Panthers isn't great. Warriors isn't great. But then Titans, Panthers, Raiders, Dolphins, Broncos. Really good stretch. And that's what makes it hard for me to sell Turbo, to get in a guy like Walsh in round 7, to get in a guy like AP in round 7. It's like in a perfect world, you play roulette and get Walsh and Ponga in round 7, but it's 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon and they're at 4 Pines. My mental health ain't great as it is. It's going to be even worse if I don't own Turbo.
Wouldn't want to do that to myself. No, not a chance. It's. I think Turbo is one of those. I know we talk about rotating fullbacks a lot on this show. I think you've just got to pick and stick him.
I'll rotate Turbo when he eventually breaks down, but apart from that, I'm riding him out. And
we look at that. He's got the Eels next week. That could be. Yeah, it's at CommBank, fine, but fuck it, that could be huge. That could be monstrous. And then the Dragons.
I could sell in round 11. But that's
against the Broncos.
Manly, Melbourne.
Into the Origin.
Yeah, that's the only time I'd be looking at moving on. Yeah. And then maybe picking up, if he's still fit in like rounds 20, rounds 19, if he's still fit, like he's got the Knights, Titans, Roosters, Raiders, Warriors, Tigers, Bulldogs, Sharks to finish the season. Like if Turbo's still firing, I could sell him in round 10 after he puts on 174 against the Dolphins and then buy him back in for that run home in the finals because he looks unreal. I know his scoring didn't correlate today, but it will. I said to you in the chat today, I have a hot take that I think Turbo will score 200 this year. I think he's going to explode. He looks like he's there. He's also shitting offloads for fun as well.
Yeah.
He's so big. I don't think people realize how big he is because he's not wide, but he's just a unit.
He's a big boy. And I think maybe it might have been a thing with Turbo, Burbo and Gerbo just throwing offloads in the backyard back when they were young because it seems like he hit Burbo with about 4 offloads today. And they just know where each other are going to be.
You want to chat Burbo? Because I feel like he was unlucky today. 33 Burbo.
Yeah, no. I mean, the only thing I have to say on Burbo is the fact that he's coming off a good score last week. Yeah, 33 is fine, but we also only paid for a 26. So that's completely fine. He's going to have, I would assume, pretty close to a negative break even this. Oh, he's got a negative 17 this week. So I think we're probably going to be looking at a negative 30 potentially.
And the rest. Hang on, I'll be able to tell you quickly. Burbo's looking at only minus 19. So not amazing, but still make good cash. I think he's a keeper. Like, if I finish the season with Burbo as my center wing 7, mad.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he's looked really good. Shout out to the 5 people that traded him out this week. Absolute wizards. But yeah, he's a stud. Schuster sucked in reserve grade today by all accounts. And
good signs for Burbo.
But he looks good. Like that was the thing. Like someone said, "Oh, like what do you do with Schuster?" And I'm like, "You just admit you were wrong." And wait for his contract to run out.
Yep. Like the problem is he's on such big money.
Yeah, I mean Turbo's no Adonis. Sorry, not Turbo. Burbo's no Adonis. He's not, built out of. Oh goodness, he's not built out of granite. Like he is prone to a knock or two. But Corey Waddell's there. Like I just think it's a long way to go before Schuster gets a look in here. I'm not concerned. That's it for the Roosters. 92 points from Mr. Squid Games himself. 707k. Off the back of a 70-point performance last week, moving into 2 tough matchups, and then it's very up and down for Teddy. South, Penrith, Bulldogs, Knights, Melbourne, St. George, Broncos, Warriors, Sharks, Raiders, Origin. Very up and down.
Yeah, I don't think I want to touch him.
He needed
until the Bulldogs.
a lot of attack today to get the score he got. Like, if we look at his involvement, I'm going to have to squint and move my microphone. I might be out of shot here. But if we open up his little thingy, he had 1 try, 1 try assist, 1 line break, 2 line break assists, 1 try contribution. You give that to Latrell, you give that to Turbo, you give that to KP, that's 140, 150. That's my concern. And the draw is just like too inconsistent. Like, if he had a run of like 3 good games in a row, then I could play some roulette. But it's like, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. A bit like my mood on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. When you see you got Turbo in your team and he scores a 41. We kind of poo-pooed on Teddy a little bit at the start of the season. I think he's 703K. So super cheap in terms of what we'd be used to for him. But you've got to compare him against Latrell. You've got to compare him against Pappenhausen. You've got to compare him against Drinkwater. Like, I mean, most of us have Ponga and Turbo, probably. So, I mean, do you really want to move on any of those guys against any week he could get 40 as well, especially in those tough matchups you just mentioned? So I don't know whether he's in the priority list of guys I'll be picking up. But, I mean, we'll probably talk. He'll probably be an option because he's going to be traded in by a fair few people next week, I would assume.
Yeah. So, we'll touch on him on Thursday. On Tuesday. Sorry, can you go to the next game? I was too busy looking at my AFL score.
Dolphins 38-0. Oof.
I didn't watch a minute of this game. Like, if you're gonna put on NRL, if you're gonna put on a shit show of a game, like, put it on at like 7:30 on a Saturday when we're forced to watch it. No one's sitting there at 6 o'clock on a Sunday going, "Oh fuck yeah, I can't wait to watch the Dolphins and the Dragons."
Oh, what a shitter of a 6 p.m. game! And shout out to the Big Horse. He's host of the AFL show. 10-41 this week in NRL. He's beaten both of us. Done us dirty. So
I think we both beat him in AFL. So maybe on Tuesday we'll get the Big Horse on to host the NRL show, and you and I will jump over to the AFL show.
I think he was projected for 2,200 in AFL. I reckon he'd do all right.
Can you please let us know your thoughts in the chat about Sarong and his 42 disposals? We'd love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, this game, hey, Kyle Flanagan, shock horror. He's not a good Supercoach option. Who would have thunk it?
You'll probably offend a few people. And look, I reckon there's a good chance we will offend a few people here when we're talking about the Dragons. But I mean, can we say I told you so? I don't have a sound drop for it, but maybe I'll add one. Because, I mean...
I can't be too smug because I jumped on Laybut. So maybe you're the one to be smug today because I can't say I told you so to the Lomax truthers because I jumped on Laybut. But if you jumped on Sleno, if you jumped on... How'd Sloan go? Sloan actually went all right.
He was okay. And look, so was Lomax. He still had the runs and he had the base, which is good. It's promising for Lomax.
He's really involved. The problem was he got like fuck all scores over 8 meters. Yeah. But like he was really good. His base is nice. I'm just looking at this. So Sloan scored well. Ravalawa. I mean, we said this last week. Like it wouldn't be surprising to see they go down Ravalawa's side and just not go to Lomax, which looks like it happened. I didn't watch this game, so correct me if I'm wrong. But apart from that, like no one else did anything, and you expect that in a side that gets thumped 40 zip. RFM with a 37. Shout out to the I can't even be smug because my SE is not working. But I assume a lot of people bought RFM in after not waiting a week.
I'll tell you. So we had 5,500 people traded him in.
Hey, me and 12,000 other people bought Laybut for a 26. So the RFM owners won. They won. Apart from that, not much else. Little didn't get rolling. But
Little got a HIA, I think, was ruled out with a HIA. I'm not 100% sure, but I heard that either he came back from his HIA, someone correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but he definitely went off for a HIA, and I'm not sure whether he came back on and then finished early or whether he didn't actually come back on at all. So there is a risk there. I know Phil was ropeable in my chat this afternoon because...
I'm going to tell you right now. So Little played 65 minutes. So it looks like he played regular rotation.
Cool. Yeah, good.
Wait,
he definitely went off for a HIA though.
It looks like he played 80 with a 15-minute rotation, which if that's true, that's terrible for a 34.
No good. That's Danny Levi areas, I reckon.
That is. I'll tell you what is Danny Levi areas though. Kyle Flanagan, 19 points after 80 minutes. Shock horror. Players who historically aren't good don't score well when they don't get attack.
Yeah. I mean, everybody will be like, "Oh, well, I only paid 300." And what did he get last week? He got. Let's have a quick look here. He got 58.
It wasn't even like it was that much.
You got 58 last week, 19 this week. So what's that? 77? So, I mean, you still got 38.5 average, really. So, like, you're still getting more than what you paid for, but really not that much.
The problem is you'd want the scores the other way around.
Yeah.
You want the stinker in round 1 because now the good score rolls out very quickly and the stinker stays there for a little bit. That's the only problem. Apart from that, the Dragons, Moses Sully with a 34. I know there was some love for him getting around on the socials. 34 is fine if with no attack. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, in a side that gets thumped 38-0. We were talking about Taylor May scoring a 57 or 60 odd, or I think it was even a 70 last week when Panthers got beaten zip. But yeah, a bit of a different story with these guys.
Now, I was doing some Sunday household chores and my phone wouldn't stop blowing up because of a certain SC matrix carrying on like a pork chop. I would have thought Hammer would have scored more than 95 with 3 tries.
Yeah, the way he was carrying on in the chat would have been 150. Should have been. But yeah, a hat-trick with 95. I mean, look, I'm not going to go and throw shade at Hammer.
That's some Nanai areas of base.
Yeah, 51 points in tries, 95 total. So, and again, we're looking at 5 tackles. He got a few tackle breaks. Only one line break in 3 tries as well, by the way. One line break in 3 tries. So again, that's probably where you're suffering a little bit there. 20 points in runs as well isn't exactly great, but you know that Hammer is going to score his points in attacking points. He's not going to be a guy that churns out massive base. So, but I can't fault him. At the start of the season, he's looked good, and I'd say he's going to be a popular option next week.
Yeah, JMK with an 80. I saw that he had a try and a try assist. Good for him after his stinkers in the preseason. Did you see?
Game. Oh, go back. If you didn't watch this game, go back and look at the Falcon. Ben Hunt kicked the ball straight into his fucking head.
He looked like he got rissoled. I didn't think he was going to come back on. I was surprised that
he came back on. Yeah, that was fucking gold. Very funny.
Sorry, can you just read out the 3rd top scoring player of this game?
Fuck. Is it Jack Bostock?
No. One more.
Zay Katala. Yeah.
Oh, our boy.
Your boy. Definitely. You want anything attached to that guy.
You can come in. Jack Bostock, 77. What happened here? Did he decide to do something or?
Yeah, there was a couple of try assists, so that was probably the big part of his points. But in terms of
what the fuck, do I have to go back and watch this game?
Not really. So there was basically a ball that he took, and he took it high and caught it, and then passed one. It basically took a little kind of mini break and passed it to Hammer. Hammer went 80 meters and scored. So it was out of their own end. Yeah.
I love that.
But to be fair, he was good. He was quite good. When we're looking at kind of base stats and reliable stats that you want from this guy, he got 8 in tackle breaks, he got 2 line breaks, and 23 in runs. So you're still getting 23 in runs isn't exactly amazing.
Please tell me that Mark Nichols got no attack, and this is 75 in pure base.
It's not. Mark Nichols scored a try.
He always does. Always finds a try. Asako with a 74. How to find the line. Shout out to him. Avarillo with a 60 in his first game back for the Dolphins. Nice for him.
Yeah, he scored as well.
Herb, 59. This is not the way that we planned it to go.
No, Herbert. No good.
Well, when I see Asako get 75 and the Dolphins score 40 points, I would have assumed that Herbosaurus would have done more than a 59.
No, he did not. But in saying that, I think they cut him out.
Are you glad he twinged his knee?
Yes. I would have started with him if there wasn't that injury scare. 100%.
You've been blessed. Karaz is back and then Herbie's knee.
I don't think I would have started with Karaz though, for some reason.
If I saw him play one trial game, even if it was 5 minutes, I'm like, yeah, all right, he's in.
I had Herbie there, at 630 odd K to start the year. The only reason I downgraded my most expensive centre wing was to kind of add a little bit of stock to my 2RF. That's purely the only reason, and also because I wanted Harry Grant. So maybe that was the reason
stock,
too.
I didn't have any boss stock.
Didn't have any boss stock. No.
I was about to say, is it Aiken season? And then I clicked on his profile and saw he was 580K. No, thank you.
In fantasy, maybe?
No. Yeah, in fantasy because he's available at centre, but no, not in Supercoach. Apart from that, vindication for Flegler? Or was this just a case of his team thumping them and he doesn't have to do anything? Was this a Morgan Smith effect?
It's 100%. He stood under the fucking flags for as long as he actually made tackles. So I don't really know whether we can kind of criticize him too much. He made 20 tackles. Didn't really do much else, to be honest.
All right.
So.
is it actually Josh Kerr season or not?
What do you get?
44? Like price it at 35? Oh, sorry, price it at 34?
I mean, we spoke at the start about having a little bit more confidence or assurity in our front row forward picks. I assume most of us have Terrell May now. Do you really want him to be a front row forward too, or do you just want to run with either Liam Henry or upgrade to a Cotter?
So did we skip over Terrell May? I feel like we didn't
We didn't really talk about him, but is there much to talk about? The guy's a jet. You just get him in.
Stud. Absolute stud. Get him in. We didn't actually talk about any of the Roosters. We'll do that on Tuesday, but Shatilli...
Yeah, we've got plenty to talk about.
He is on shaky legs, and he might have his contract come out in my side. But yeah, for the Dolphins, not much else here to talk about. There was some Max Platt love. Nice. He's priced at 280K, scored a 47. Problem is, you can get a 47 for 80K less in Lockie Galvin. Apart from that, man, not much else to talk about. Cody Nicarima, I saw he went off early with the HIA. Sucks for him, but apart from that, man, I don't really want to be sitting here wasting my Sunday night talking about Kurt Donahue.
No. I'd tell you what I would love, though, is when I wake up in the morning, Turbo has found himself 30 little unicorn points.
Only Pong is the same.
And I somehow cracked the 1,000. I need 40 points overnight. I don't know whether I'm going to find 40, but if I can get close, that'd be nice. But
no. I'd love 50 points in Luke Brooks downgrades.
Oh yeah, that would be also a bit of indication. But
2-hour pod didn't feel like it, but hopefully
you know what I was looking at the time tick over throughout this pod, and I'm like, fuck. I used to blame the fact that now there's 3 of us. It was like, oh, there's 3 of us now. It's me, Matrix, and Josh. It's like, there's just too many people. But it's just us. We're the problem.
Fisher in the chat says Herbie was passing the ball. It was shocking. I'd need to go watch this game. If Herbie's passing the ball, this is a simulation.
Anomaly. Yeah. Bit going on. It was an interesting game. It was good to watch if you're a Finns fan, to be honest, and not a good game to watch if you're a Dragons fan. So for anybody who missed it, there's your options.
Sorry. Can we just pull up Matrix's comment? Because this man is a fucking fraud. Best thing, he doesn't even know where St. George's on a map. We established this last week.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolute fraud.
You know, in the chat, there was like multiple chats after the episode, and he was asking people, trying to get confirmation that St. George wasn't in Sydney. I'm like, they've got a home ground in Wollongong, but they also have a home ground in Cogra. So, like, technically, they're in and out of Sydney. Oh. But yeah, this was a good half-an-hour conversation after the podcast the other night too. It's very funny.
Wow. Okay, yes. Lovely.
There's a bit going on.
All right, yeah. Supercoach sucks. I'm
coming like 5,000th in fantasy and like 70th in Dream Team. So maybe I'll just focus on those two.
I'm doing well in fantasy as well. Not as well as you. I think I'm coming.
Oh no, sorry, I'm 10,000th now.
Drop my $2,000 phone. A 16,000th in fantasy, which is good. I've got a Lukey and a Safe Hearth issue to trade out. But mate, we might be an AFL podcast next Tuesday if shit doesn't improve.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. But we'll be back Tuesday. Obviously, Matrix is still on holidays, living the dream, so it'll just be us two again. We'll try and keep it under 2 hours for everybody, but I'm sure there'll be a bit to talk about. Considering we're on the bubble, we've got the people are going to be pulling boosts and have a ton of questions, so we'll answer as many of them as we can in the live. So tune in Tuesday night. Otherwise, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't yet. We would appreciate that love as well. And thanks for sticking with us for an hour and 52 minutes. It's been fun. But I better go and have some food and go to bed before I have to get up for work in the morning. So it should be
no worries, my friend. Thank you so much for everyone's watching. Appreciate it immensely, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
See you then.
Cheerio.